The princess did not back down with her demand. Cyan was holding back his annoyance when he called Yulkin. Yulkin appeared and uttered that he will substitute the royal knights and escort Her Highness to safety in camps. Yilin invited the princess to go. The princess looked at him as if she's intimidated. She pointed her fingers on Cyan and called him impudent for daring to treat her, a princess, that way. Cyan got closer to her, his eyes wide and his tone is firm when he told her that dozens of knights might die because of her stubbornness. He added that a split-second decision can decide her fate of either dying or surviving in a war. Being extremely intimidating, he asked her if she can take responsibility for all those lives. The princess became teary-eyed. When he was about to leave, he told her to go back if she's going to cry like a child. The princess, Yulkin, and the maid were left standing there. The monsters were in the area, and it looked like a giant slime that gobbled up several humans. The Duke ordered them not to fall back when they were close to the monster. He instructed everyone to halt so they can get back to formation. Then he commanded for everyone to protect His Majesty and slay all the monsters and not spare even a single of them. In high spirits, everyone got moving. Dean Sees, the Emperor of the Usif Empire, had 2 wives. Diana Quazel was the first wife, but she is now dead. Cassandra Nellis is the second wife and considered the prominent judiciary of the empire. The former empress gave birth to the first and second princes, and the current empress gave birth to the third prince and fourth prince. However, Aran Servius, the fifth princess, was a bastardized daughter born to some peasant mistress. People treated her something like a scarecrow of a princess for her mixed blood, but she did not care about how others perceived her. She fulfilled her duty as a part of the royal family and devoted herself to her studies more than anyone. However, she was framed for treason by those who resented her, and she was kicked out of the royal family in the empire. People were saying she died alone from an illness on an island, earning her the nickname Tragic Princess. They believed she could have had a happy life if she hadn't been so greedy, suggesting it would have been better for her to live without ambition. Karam appeared and told Cyan that it was what the Duke had been telling him about his past life. Cyan explained it was different because the princess dealt with royal politics. Lightning struck a monster, and Cyan remarked that the emperor was skilled. The emperor had the ability called Holy Lightning, which killed monsters. He was known to be an 8-star mage. Had he not been emperor, he might have led the Mage Association. Cyan found it amusing that an intermediate-ranked demonic beast was no problem for the emperor, as being emperor seemed more like a hobby to him. After a short battle, expensive liquor was served, and the emperor commented it had been a while since he shared a drink with his friend, Wallace. But he felt lonely drinking alone. The Duke apologized, saying he didn't drink on the front lines. The emperor was reminded when the Duke asked about the current atmosphere in the empire. He shared there had been a spike in assassinations of corrupt nobles, all with black fog present at the murder scenes. The Duke found traces of them at the battlefront, indicating the mist followers were active again. The emperor instructed the Duke to investigate further, as he couldn't sit idly while people grew anxious. He also mentioned concern over rumors blaming the fifth princess for everything, asking the Duke to take care of her if he died before him. The Duke swore upon his name that he will carry out His Majesty's order. Later, as rain poured down, Emily questioned if that was all. She scolded Cyan for leaving the princess so abruptly, saying he'd never get married if he continued like that. Cyan, however, thought it wasn't even a date. He entrusted Emily with everything and prepared to train despite the heavy rain. Cyan assured her that it's fine. Little did he know that there's someone standing outside his tent. Emily was surprised when she saw it. She asked who it was. This girl removed her hood and asked Cyan where he was going. It was Princess Erin, and she invited Cyan for a chat if he was not busy. Emily was pumped up to see Her Highness. She looked like a fangirl. They went inside the tent. Outside, the royal knights guarded it. Princess Erin inquired as to how long it had been since Cyan got there. He told her that it had been a month. He asked her why she came to see him. Princess Erin hesitated to answer. She then asked if the maid could be excused for a while since she keeps staring with dopey eyes. Cyan asked her to go outside for a bit. Emily went out, and her statement that they should have a good time together confused the two. Then she was fully gone. Funny enough, in his head, Cyan thought that it was a big no to have a good time with a 10-year-old. Princess Erin blushed as she apologized for what happened earlier. She admitted that her actions were unbefitting of a princess. Cyan assured her not to worry about it. He apologized for being rude to her. She laughed and expressed that she would have said the same thing if she was in his place. She commented that Cyan is acknowledged by a lot of people unlike her, and he's a lot more mature. From her words, Cyan understood her personality. Princess An asked if he's entering the academy too, and she was about to offer friendship, but before she could finish her sentence, San cut her off with an apology as he told her that he believes that he won't be any help to her. The princess was deeply upset when she heard Cyan's words. He basically told her to leave if she wanted to make friends. Princess Erin tried to patch things up, even with tears in her eyes, but Cyan seemed harsh. She asked him if he saw her as just a shallow princess. Cyan, another person present, stayed silent. The princess then backed off, saying she understood there was no point in being friends. She apologized for wasting his time and admitted she was naive to think they could talk things out. She then compared Cyan unfavorably to Sir Ashel, which clearly angered Cyan. Cyan grabbed her arm, and Princess Erin called out, asking what was wrong. Cyan, with a murderous look, demanded to know how she knew his brother. She explained they met when she toured the Royal Academy, and he advised her to ignore others' opinions and fulfill her role as a princess. Cyan realized his brother's influence and connection with the princess might be part of a plan to undermine her. Cyan warned the princess, but their conversation was interrupted by a loud noise. Emily rushed in, telling them to run, but it was too late. An ogre attacked, breaking through the tent roof. The knights rushed to check on the young master, while Emily cried seeing the damage. The ogre, a monstrous creature, was part of a sudden attack on the border regions, where the princess was present. The emperor ordered the imperial army to secure her safety. Several ogres appeared, along with deathworms, surprising Cyan and the others. They hid behind a rock, realizing something must have changed for these monsters to appear in the rear camps. Emily, relieved that Cyan was alive, vowed not to leave his side again. Cyan remembered his past exploits, wondering if he would die now from a mere ogre. Princess Erin worried about the knights at the camp, feeling guilty for putting them in danger by going to the rear camps. The knights assured her of their strength and loyalty. Suddenly, Cyan sensed danger and yelled for everyone to move. The knight was confused. He did not know that the ogre's hand was about to grab him. The hand squeezed the knight to the point that he coughed up blood. The owner of that hand is a gigantic, menacing ogre. The princess was horrified. Cyan immediately leapt in front of her and ordered her to get back. The ogre smiled. Cyan had confirmed his suspicion. The ogre is after him. He told them that he will distract them while they run away with the princess. Emily passionately replied, "Okay," and it was funny how it left Cyan dumbfounded. Emily grabbed the princess and she asked the knight why he was just standing there. The ogre demanded C's attention when it roared loudly. Our MC unsheathed his sword. He leapt high and slashed the ogre in its arm. This made Cyan wonder why the advanced rank demonic beasts are attracted to him. It felt like they smelled something from him. Karam laughed. She told him that he drank the blood of countless demonic beasts in order to become strong, and that's why he is a target for them. Cyan was surprised and slightly annoyed that Karam knew about it, and she only told him about it just now. Karam grinned at him and asked if he forgot that she wanted his body. Our MC grabbed her tightly and made her groan, and Sen assumed a combat stance. Karam asked what he was doing and requested for him to treat her better, to which Cyan replied, "Shut up." He stood in front of the ferocious ogre and uttered that he doesn't care how many monsters would come at him. He attacked while the ogre also did the same, but he was quick and he sliced its arm before it had the chance to hit him. It roared loudly because of the pain, and then he followed it with another attack. His attacks ended and the ogre faced its defeat. Cyan sensed that there's no one watching now, so he decided to sip on some advanced rank demonic beast blood. Karam got excited over the feast that they'll have, but Cyan saw something that shocked him. A large purple claw landed on the edge of the cliff. It was from a devil dragon. The devil dragon roared loudly. Karam told him that it's still a baby and it must have smelled him, but Cyan didn't care why the dragon was there. He activated the demonic sword manifest to him. What matters is catching that devil dragon. Now that Karam controls his body, he stated that she needs to catch that dragon, but he corrected himself and told her to eat it. Meanwhile, the other ogres faced the lightning of the Emperor. The ogre fell and the Emperor asked Vilar if that's the last ogre. The Duke answered that it seemed so, but the Emperor wasn't pleased. He asked about the princess and the Duke's son. The Duke apologized because he couldn't find any signs beyond the tent. The Emperor reassured him, saying it's all right because he knew the Duke was also concerned for his son. The Duke responded that there's no need to worry about him, as the most important thing at that moment was the princess. The Emperor seemed like he was going to scold the Duke, but instead commented that the Duke was being harsh. The Duke replied that everyone should know how to take care of themselves. A knight reported that they found the princess. The Emperor asked if he was sure. Then the princess appeared. The Emperor immediately called out her name and asked if she was hurt. But Princess Erin was in a panic as she told her father they needed to hurry and save him. The Emperor asked who she was referring to. Princess Erin cried as she said it was Cyan, blaming herself. Behind the Emperor, the Duke stood stiffly. The Emperor asked the princess to calm down and explain what was happening. The Duke approached Emily and asked if she was Cyan's maid with a threatening expression. The Duke asked her if something had happened to Cyan. Emily trembled in fear. She had never seen the Duke so intimidating before. She stuttered as she explained that Cyan acted as a decoy to buy them time to escape. The Duke's brows furrowed. The knight remembered Cyan's last location and offered to go with others to save him, if permitted. The Emperor asked the Duke what he was waiting for, urging him to hurry. The Duke looked menacing as he replied that they weren't going to do that. Princess Erin was surprised. The Emperor asked if he was serious. The Duke explained that they needed to prioritize stabilizing the situation, because if the camps fell, the demonic beasts would invade the empire. He said they should rebuild immediately to prevent more deaths. Emily's tears fell as she asked about Cyan. The knight gritted his teeth. The Duke said Cyan had fulfilled his duty by helping the princess escape, and that's what it means to be responsible. The Emperor and Princess Erin were saddened. She blamed herself. Suddenly, they heard a loud monster cry. They looked up and saw a dragon flying in the sky. Princess Erin couldn't believe her eyes. There was a person on top of the dragon. On closer inspection, it was Cyan holding onto the dragon's leg as it flew. He looked awkward as he clung tightly while silently lamenting his situation. Dragons, noble and rare, are revered as the closest creatures to the Creator. Mere humans, considered inferior, seldom dare to approach them. Cyan Vert felt both honored and perplexed by encountering such a majestic being, especially since it flew right over the very people he wished to avoid. Erin, spotting him, shouted Cyan's name, causing the Emperor to panic and question Viliarth about why his son was on a dragon. Viliarth, however, remained calm, despite the Emperor's frantic questioning. Cyan, internally cursing, had only wanted to drink the dragon's blood. He didn't expect everything to go wrong so quickly. What happened was that the evil dragon had appeared, and Cyan had instructed Karam to consume it. But before he could act, a swarm of monsters appeared, forcing Cyan, now possessed by Karam, to activate the fog-soaring rushing fogstorm. This powerful move sliced through the monsters, allowing him to land before the dragon. He noted that it wasn't fully grown yet. The dragon responded by unleashing a massive laser beam, shattering the ground. Cyan retorted that spitting in his face was rude and slashed the dragon's eye, making it bleed and angering the beast. The dragon's sudden movement sent Cyan flying, and it chased after him, which made Cyan, still possessed by Karam, grin. He had a special attack ready, the 8 fluttering petal, which caused a massive explosion. However, Cyan admitted he couldn't defeat a dragon yet, as his shoulders grew sore, prompting him to wrap things up. The dragon, flapping its wings, created a powerful gust of wind. Cyan, refusing to fall for the same trick twice, noticed something amusing. The dragon was scurrying away from him, which shocked him. He called it a lizard running away and leaped high to chase it, leading to his current predicament. He pondered if he had used up all his luck encountering the dragon and looked down, contemplating his next move. Karam, sensing his hesitation, asked what was wrong. Annoyed, Cyan pointed out the people below them. Karam dismissed his concern, arguing that he had to do something if he unsheathed her. He argued back, concerned about using a demonic sword with so many witnesses, fearing they'd burn him at the stake if they saw. Karam insisted he had to act, and their banter added a touch of humor to the tense situation. Villiers stood with a magic circle glowing beneath him. Seeing this, our MC panicked. It was advanced 8-star magic. Cyan realized his father was about to use the secret sword of heavens, a powerful attack that would affect everyone nearby, including him. As several golden swords shot towards the dragon, Cyan marveled at his father's skill, truly living up to his title as the continent's guardian. The dragon dodged the swords, and surprisingly, Cyan found himself cheering for it. Just as he was about to encourage the dragon, he noticed a sword coming from the side, too fast for the dragon to evade. The dragon was hit, and Cyan fell, cursing as he missed the chance for a rare meal. Karam appeared, asking if he planned to just fall to his death. With a deadpan expression, Cyan replied that if he used a misspell, he'd be burned at the stake. Furious, Karam demanded if he was just going to give up. Cyan, still expressionless, admitted he didn't know and would stop thinking until he sensed something. Then he told Karam he had a plan. Horrified, Karam asked if he intended to fall into the filthy water below. "What other choice do I have?" Cyan retorted. Karam yelled, "No!" as they plunged down. Meanwhile, a figure with 2 horns sensed something unusual, a devil dragon flying around, a rare sight. The man behind him, also horned, noted that it was a young dragon, likely lost and in trouble. The silver-haired first man speculated about strong demonic beasts nearby, but his companion corrected him, saying humans lived across the border. Surprised, the silver-haired man doubted a dragon could lose to humans. Sensing something strange yet familiar from the other side, he grew silent. The red-haired man suggested he check it out if he was that concerned, but warned him not to cause trouble out of boredom. Unfurling his wings, the silver-haired man promised to behave as he flew off to investigate. Bubbles rose from the red water, and Cyan emerged, drenched and exhausted. Dragging himself out, he groaned, "Fuck my life," looking disgusted. He called out to Karam, asking if she was still alive. Clearly annoyed, Karam snapped back, telling him not to talk to her while she decided how to kill him. Cyan reassured her that they'd clean up once they got back and pleaded with her not to be mad. This prompted Karam to remind him that they were in the demon realm. She was about to assure him that they wouldn't encounter a higher demon when someone interrupted. A voice, familiar and chilling, sent shivers down Cyan's spine. The demon called out to him, a voice so deeply embedded in Cyan's memory that he could never forget it. His expression turned furious as he recognized the demon king Valkyrion. In the past, those who saw Valkyrion described him as the embodiment of evil, and now that very monster was staring at Cyan. He knew better than to take his eyes off Valkyrion, who could kill him in an instant. "Why now?" Cyan cursed under his breath. The demon king repeated his question. Was Cyan human? When Cyan didn't answer, Valkyrion glared at him, suddenly appearing behind him and asking if he wanted to fight. Alarmed, Cyan attempted to slash Valkyrion, managing to cut a strand of his hair, which surprised the Demon King. Valkyrion laughed, commenting on humanity's infinite potential. Karam, bewildered, asked who the demon was. Cyan replied, "A Demon King." Shocked, Karam demanded how he planned to defeat the Demon King in his current state. Cyan knew it was impossible. His hands trembled as he considered his only option: running away. He wondered if he could survive against Valkyrion. The Demon King then told Cyan to relax, asking what he thought he could do to a kid like him. To prove his point, the Demon King lay down on the ground and assured Cyan he wouldn't harm him, even admitting that while he might be an asshole, he wouldn't fight kids. Cyan couldn't help but make a funny face at the Demon King's random behavior. Valkyrion, the Demon King, then asked if Cyan was human. When Cyan said yes, Valkyrion inquired how he got there. Cyan explained it was because of the water current. The Demon King asked if it was his first time in the demon realm and teased Cyan, sensing a strange aura from him. When asked who he was, a now sweating Cyan replied he was just a normal human. The Demon King noted that even though Cyan claimed to be normal, it felt like he knew him. Cyan insisted they had never met, which Valkyrion believed since he had never seen a human before, and wondered when Cyan could have seen him. Curious, Cyan asked why the Demon King was there. In his head, he noted the Demon King's relaxed manner and wondered if this was the same Demon King he knew. Valkyrion explained that he felt a strange energy while making his rounds. When Cyan asked about making rounds, Valkyrion elaborated that as the Demon King, it was his duty to watch over his lands. But then he stopped mid-sentence and asked Cyan to repeat what he said. Cyan replied, repeating that it was a given for him to watch over his lands as the Demon King. Valkyrion made a funny face and asked if Cyan wasn't shocked to hear he was the Demon King. That's when Cyan was caught. The Demon King realized Cyan knew him from somewhere, because what kind of kid wouldn't react in shock? Valkyrion even joked if his mom had never threatened him with the Demon King taking him away if he was bad. Cyan thought there was no way this was the same Demon King he knew of. He assumed that if things went like in his past, the Demon King's invasion should start soon. But the Demon King in front of him didn't seem like someone who would do that. Cyan started wondering what could have triggered a change in Valkyrion. He boldly asked Valkyrion what he wished to accomplish as the Demon King. The Demon King smiled and commented on Cyan's boldness, but answered that he just wanted his people to live good lives and eat well. However, Valkyrion also expressed with all seriousness that if anyone dared to get in the way, he would kill them all because that was his duty as the Demon King. Cyan felt shivers run through his body. He thought it was just for a moment, but he definitely sensed it. The true monstrosity of Valkyrion, the Demon King he knew in his past life. Though repressed now, something had unleashed that dark side. Cyan realized he had to prevent that incident from happening. With determination, he approached Valkyrion and asked if he wanted to make a deal. Cyan warned him that a looming threat would soon endanger his people. Confused, Valkyrion demanded an explanation. Cyan admitted he didn't know the exact details, but he was certain it would trigger a devastating war between humans and demons. Valkyrion, now agitated, questioned if Cyan meant he would desire human lands in the future. Cyan nodded and proposed a negotiation. He urged Valkyrion to promise not to start a war, no matter what happened. Though skeptical, the Demon King agreed and asked what Cyan would offer in return. Cyan replied, "I'll help you." He vowed to support Valkyrion no matter what. The Demon King loomed over him, but Cyan stood firm, meeting his gaze. Valkyrion laughed slightly, sensing that Cyan knew something important. He asked for the boy's name, and Cyan introduced himself as Cyan Vert. The Demon King, spreading his wings, promised not to invade the human lands. Before flying away, he reminded Cyan to uphold his promise too. Afterward, Cyan was found by knights on the shore, hailed as a miracle survivor. They nicknamed him the boy who survived the Devil Dragon. The scene changes. Back at an abbey-turned-military hospital on the borders of Velius, Cyan questioningly says, "Sorry?" Princess Erin, blushing, repeated her question. "Will you be mine?" Cyan had no idea what Princess Erin was saying. Without much thought, he nonchalantly replied, "Nah." Her eyes widened in shock and she looked like she was about to cry. She muttered that of course he would reject her. After all, she was just a powerless princess. Inwardly, Cyan sighed. She was really getting on his nerves. Yes, she was powerless, but it was her attitude that made things worse. He couldn't stop thinking about how his brother was somehow involved in her tragic fate. Cyan nodded and told her not to be disappointed. Instead of being disheartened, Princess Erin blushed and pointed a finger at him. "Wait and see," she declared. "I don't know when, but I'm going to become so powerful that you won't be able to ignore me." Cyan couldn't help but smile a little. "I'm looking forward to it," he replied. Before leaving, Erin had one more thing to say. She blushed deeply as she thanked him for being alive. A few days later, on the outskirts of the rear camp's forest, a man named Reynold Crimson was looking around, laughing silently as he held a glowing box. "There's not much left now," he muttered to himself. Suddenly, he heard a voice. "So, it's you, Reynold Crimson." Reynold felt paralyzed, as if invisible chains bound him. An ominous figure with a dark aura approached. The box Reynold held was a small dimension box, an artifact with a dimensional realm and enough mana for infinite stone storage, a masterpiece of the Garam Kingdom's Mage Association. The figure revealed he'd been watching Reynold for a year, suspecting someone in the Empire was smuggling these boxes. Now he'd figured out the smuggling process. He took the box, identifying Reynold as a 7-star mage knight from the Garam Kingdom. Reynold recognized the figure. It was Cyan. "Why are you here?" Reynold asked. Cyan emptied the box, revealing monster body parts. He accused Reynold of smuggling demonic blood in supply carriages crossing the border and suggested there was a spy in the supply department aiding him. Reynold denied everything, but Cyan insisted he didn't need to play dumb. He knew the blood was being sold on the black market, suspecting even Alice obtained hellhound blood from Reynold's network. Cyan decided Reynold couldn't be allowed to live. Though Reynold didn't know how Cyan captured him, he could move a bit and use magic. He unleashed a fiery breath, shouting, "Die, Cyan!" Flames engulfed the area where Cyan stood, and Reynold sighed, thinking he'd lost the dimension box. Suddenly, his hand was cut off, blood spurting everywhere. A black fog appeared, revealing Cyan standing before him. Cyan grabbed Reynold's neck, giving him a choice: reveal the smuggling route and the spy for a comfortable death, or suffer a death so tragic that even Satan would pray for him. At Valia's western border trading post, the bustling crowd was busy hauling large boxes. Among them, 2 men were delighted as they peered into the boxes, thrilled that they'd be able to take more this time. However, their joy quickly turned to shock when they opened another box and found the head of Reynold inside. They stared in horror, trying to fathom who could have done such a thing. Nearby, a man in a robe observed the chaotic scene. It was Cyan. Karam, his companion, asked if he wasn't going to intervene. Cyan replied calmly that he would leave them be, believing the warning was sufficient. Reynold Crimson, a 7-star mage knight of Garam Kingdom, had been smuggling the blood of demonic beasts from the front lines, deceiving the Yusuf Empire. These forbidden items were sent to Garam Kingdom's Mage Association, a hub of mages obsessed with pushing the boundaries of magic. They sought to create new magic and artifacts, such as the Dimension Box, but Cyan knew their future experiments with demonic beast blood had to be stopped. Karam, puzzled, remarked that she thought Cyan only cared about himself, yet here he was, performing a selfless act. Cyan responded that he simply didn't want more people using the demonic beast blood. Meanwhile, in a residence within the Yusuf Empire, Ashel gazed out the window, having learned that his half-brother, Cyan Vert, had gone to the front lines with their father. A woman in his bed recognized Cyan's name. Annoyed, Ashel decided he needed to confront Cyan. The scene shifted to another location where 2 suitcases lay on the ground. Emily was thrilled to finally be away from the front lines, eagerly anticipating her time at the academy. She imagined it would be a refreshing change from the gloomy battlefield. However, Cyan warned her that the academy was no paradise. It was a place of political schemes, envy, and jealousy, where networking trumped education. Despite this, Emily remained optimistic, dreaming of handsome instructors and potential romance, while Cyan wondered if she was really coming to the academy because of him. That's all for today. Thanks for all your support. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Till then, bye.